Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Line Change, the NHL betting podcast from the Action Network. My name is Michael Leboff, and joining me for this hour, Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final preview, are Nick Martin, the birthday boy, right? Today's your birthday, Nick?
Yep, it is.
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday.
from all of us here at Line Change. And Tim Kalinowski, who's just having an ordinary day, I guess. Okay, let's get it right into it. There's really not too much we can do in terms of pussyfooting for the Game 3 of this series. Like, everyone's seeing how it's gone. The Oilers are down 0-2. They're coming back home now. We have an extended 2-day break, so no game. We're recording this on Tuesday, June the 11th. Wednesday is another dark day in the Stanley Cup Final. If you're looking for something fun to watch, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Team USA versus Team India in cricket. World Cup on Long Island. So that'll be a fun one. Good environment. Can't wait to go. But in terms of the hockey, the Oilers are home and they are minus 135 favorites for Game 3. The Panthers are plus 114. The total is 5.5. Nick, we've got a lot to kind of just suss through here. That it is a very murky game to handicap. The paramount reason is we don't know Sasha Barkov's status. My guess is he is in warm-ups. Like, he's going to take warm-ups, and whether that means he plays or not, I really believe I would put it more likely than not that he plays. But anyways, there's that. There's the issue of, it looks like we're seeing a little bit of a must-win tax on the Oilers here. We all thought the Oilers were in a good position at the value, at the odds they were at for Game 2. That's all evaporated now. So is it time to start looking the other way here and bet against the narrative of most people thinking, oh, it's the Stanley Cup Final, there's no way it's going to be a sweep?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in terms of sides, I don't feel like I have a lot here. It's such a lame cop-out for Game 3 of the Cup Final, but to me, this just looks like a game mid-season. I'm never arguing that the line has value one way or another. The Panthers, and I mean, we talked about how we thought they'd be better defensively, and still I just thought at plus 120 that Game 2 we were getting the number. It did go all the way down to plus 105. Felt like we were feeling good. But the Panthers really locked them down at 5-on-5. So I don't know. It's one of those ones where I think you have to assume the Oilers are going to respond. I think they have more than they've shown. I still think you have to put some weight on the way Game 1 went, but this is just minus 134. That almost feels like a confirmed Barkov out number to me. I'd kind of like to see where the number goes if we had confirmation that Barkov was out, because I'd wonder, would it actually get to minus 145 or something in that area? Like, to me, I think it looks tough. And even in terms of totals, I've still felt like more goals are kind of there in this series a little bit. Last game the Oilers hit the post twice. It was the two guys I posted as goal scorers, so that was lots of fun. After Mike was sitting there celebrating his 50-1. So I don't know. I think the one guy that I still kind of seeing some value with, it feels like, just given the slump that he's had and a quieter goal scoring playoffs, it's a longer number. But I still think that Nugent Hopkins at plus 400 is a solid shot as an anytime goal scorer. But more than like most of the games, we've had a good playoff, but I think this one's a tough cap. I'm feeling like, there's a lot of different arguments to be made for both teams. It feels like maybe the Oilers find a way, but you're getting such a tax to bet them at minus 135. So yeah, it's a tough one, I think.
Yeah, Nick, I don't think this is a Barkov possibly being out, or they think he's out tax. I think it's just the classic down two love coming home tax. I mean, we're seeing this in the NBA finals right now. I mean, the Celtics win games 1 and 2, pretty handily, and they're going to Dallas for Game 3, and Dallas is a 2.5 point favorite. And like, that's just, it's kind of, an NBA thing of built in, like, okay, one last chance here. And that's certainly, you can draw that correlation, I think, to hockey as well, with the being up 3-love. I mean, we know ESPN flashed the stat of teams up 2-0 win the series 91% of the time. I don't know if that was Stanley Cup or specific, but regardless, we're in the Stanley Cup, so we'll apply it. One thing I do think is worth mentioning is just us kind of messing around here with some of our trends and data, is that I just went in here and I went Stanley Cup final, games played. So the games played in the Stanley Cup final, and the team has lost 2 games in a row, and they're the favorite. Somehow, some way, that team is 18-2-0. So 18-2, 90%. So if you want to use that for your handicap here and lay that number, I would be nervous to do so, to be honest. I don't. Maybe you're someone who says to yourself, look, the NHL season's almost over. I got one more chance here. Edmonton's either wins this game or we're done betting hockey for the summer. I'll just do it. If not, Nick, I like what you looked at with Nugent Hopkins anytime. I see McDavid on Bet365 plus 165 anytime goal scorer. And he's a guy that seems to be, it looks like Draisaitl's a little bit banged up. Would have liked to know that before I bet him twice anytime goal scorer the last 2 games. McDavid, though, seems to be doing everything he can to will this team. Like I said, as best as he possibly can. Seems like, again, to draw the NBA comparison, he's like a basketball player the way he's handling the puck and trying to do what he can.
Yeah, even the Draisaitl thing, I agree. He's had 2 really bad games to start the series. And even him, I'm scared to say, like, he's the one I'd fit. Like, there's just so many things that I think it kind of feels like it could go either way. Because he still had a couple of those good one-timer looks on the power play that I think for a moment everyone was kind of expecting him to finish last game. I feel like their power play is going to break through, and I like the looks that Nugent Hopkins was getting. The one that he hit the post, he had that other one. He was really taking that trying to shoot high narrative to heart. I don't know if he'll keep going with that or not, but that's the one for me. But it's just, I feel like I've thought there's been more goals on the table, but also the Panthers just locked it down so well last game. Like, you could find, it was almost like maybe one of their best defensive performances of the series or of the season. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Oilers respond. But to me, from like a pure serious handicapping perspective, it seems like a bit of an ugly one to try to pick a number on a side. I'd like to hear the case from someone if they loved a team enough to put like a big bet on them. Because for me, I think this is just try to have some fun, sprinkle some good props, and just enjoy the game.
Yeah, let's talk about those props. We will.
Yeah, you got to lead us off after the Ekholm first goal score.
Dude, that was watching him look Leon off.
I know.
I know.
Was so.
I thought he was going to sweat it over there.
I thought he was going to. Sometimes in soccer, when someone scores a goal and they lift up their shirt and it has like a message on their T-shirt, I thought Ekholm was going to do that, and under it was going to be that was for you, Mike, because he had no business looking Draisaitl off in that situation. Did it anyways, got us across the line.
Bobrovsky could have held up his shirt too, saying that was for you.
That's true.
Not his best work. He's been pretty locked in.
But that he was amazing. He's now the minus 175 favorite to win the Conn Smythe. So
we nailed that one too.
Yeah, that's the other in the face is like the Barkov position was looking so promising. Love him as a player. Seems like a great guy. So it's just like the ultimate worst thing that could happen out of that game was Barkov going down too. So that was a tough loss for me.
I do have some props though. I think that I want to get into. I understand the concerns about Draisaitl, his form. Perhaps he's banged up. It looks like he is, but still going to back him in these situations. And with the way that, as we said, like the power play for the Oilers has not scored, but it's right there. Like it's right there. So I that obviously bodes well for this bet. I think he's the type of guy that if he gets one, especially gets one early in a game like this, he should be able to. You feel pretty good about his chances to get another one. Most nights, him and I get that they're playing the Florida Panthers, very, very good team. They are ahead 2-0 in the Stanley Cup final after all. Most nights, because this is a market I like to play, especially at like the late games, if like I'm just gonna stay up, toss like a few bucks on a long shot prop. It's one that keeps you invested for the whole game if things are going your way. Is the hat trick market, and most nights Leon Draisaitl is around like 38-1. Sometimes he'll be shorter than that, like 27-1 if the opponent they have is served, they're getting somebody served up, like the Anaheim Ducks or something. He's 75-1 for a hat trick on for Game 3. So I think that is a bet that I'm very happy to endorse as a fun one for a game that is really tricky to find a way to get a sweat. Like him, if you want to go McDavid at 50-1, but it's just like we've seen what Connor's been trying to do this whole season. So I'd much rather go, especially with the 25 extra points on the number, go to Leon. So Nick, you talked about Nugent Hopkins. We could wrap the Conn Smythe conversation into this, or the Conn Smythe market into this conversation too. Bobrovsky -175, Barkov and McDavid are co-second favorites at +550. Then it's Kachuk for Hagee. Kachuk's 14-1 for Hagee, 25-1, Draisaitl 28-1. It does seem like this one's over, but that and anything else on this game before we give it to Tim and get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. I first off, I'm gonna say maybe I'll be off saying this. I think betting Bob at -175 right now is still kind of crazy. Did he gain that much ground in game 2 other than the Panthers are like, 85% likely or whatever you think it is to win the series? Seems a little crazy to me. I guess it all hinges on the status of Barkov. That's going to be the thing that everyone's kind of jumping. I think if somehow you get word on that, I don't think anyone's going to know. I think it's going to be the kind of thing we'll hear 10 reporters talk about tomorrow. It's going to be a bunch of just people talking from no point of reference, not knowing anything, because everyone wants to know about it. It's a huge part of this game. I mean, the Oilers are going to have such a better chance of bouncing back and making it a series without him. But I think unless you kind of know he's missing time, I hope that he's not this dead in the race. And then even the McDavid numbers, it almost seems a little short. So I don't know. I think that one's tough. And the other one, I kind of think Bouchard too. This was the exact pair I played last game, but I think I'll probably sprinkle both. I feel like those are the two that were really getting the best looks on the power play. And it feels like it might kind of keep settling that way given what's been taken away. So I think that's a decent combination. Gives you some good options.
Yeah, I'm always a fan of the power play point with the Oilers. If someone to you in particular is too juicy for your liking, like you guys said, the Bouchards, Nugent Hopkins power play points. You know what? In terms of the game itself, right? I'll just, as we're sitting here, no one really picked a side. I'll go with the over 5.5. I think an Oilers game that they have to win, complete last ditch effort, balls to the wall, empty the tank, no other choice, for real this time, no other choice, leads us to an over. I think that their game, certainly when pressing that way, can put the puck in the net. And I also think it could expose them the other way. Barkov being out or at least limited would help this as well, I think, just because of what he can do defensively. So yeah, I think if you really wanted to, we're sick of the props and you wanted to go something on the game itself, I'll play the over here for a little bit.
Yeah, and I think the other thing we didn't touch on at all is the Nurse status. I still think as bad as he's been, as analytically bad as he's been, as bad as the goal differential is, I think he's a better player than Cody Ceci. So I do think that and I don't know how they'll set it up if he's out. It feels like one of those things, if he does play, it might be bad, because it seemed like he was really, really hurting in the third when he was trying to push it and get some minutes in. So I think that holds a little bit of value, maybe not a lot. He's obviously struggled at times this playoff, but they do ask a lot of him. I still think he's a better player than CC. So I don't think that it's good news at all. I think some people are probably thinking like he's at that point, but they don't have many options to put in there. So as tough as it's been at times, I still don't think this is like an addition by subtraction situation for Nurse.
And that means Bouchard has to play more, which he did a ton, especially in the second half of that game. And he had a really tough third period. So
what did he play in the third? Like 10 minutes?
I know. He played the last 6 straight for sure. And like I said, so that leads me to over as well. Him on the ice means possible goals for Edmonton. And certainly if, again, it's these lengthy shifts for him, I just think we could see a lot of empty netters here, despite even if they keep the whistles in the pocket. Edmonton has to go with what, got them here. And like I said, I think we could possibly get to 6 here.
Okay. I would be remiss if I didn't give out a punt on a first goal scorer. So I'm gonna tab Gus Forsling at 42-1. I'll use the same kind of logic as the at home play.
Rolling over all of it, right?
Oh yeah. Well, is that even a question? As I texted you guys, I was disappointed I didn't parlay it with some cricket stuff. But
if you
I guess
had
I'll just have to sadly accept this win. What's that?
I was going to say, if you had, I bet the text would have said, "I'm such an idiot. I parlayed."
Yeah. Okay. Real quick before we get out of here, we'll just give out our favorite play ahead of Game 3. If you got one, Tim, it sounds like you are a little bit more enthusiastic about betting this one than Nick. So we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'll go over. I'll do it. Let's do something on the game here, fellas.
Okay, I'll go Draisaitl hat trick 75-1. Nick,
I'm going to go with Nugent Hopkins to score 4-1.
Perfect. All right, there you have it. All right, that's Game 3 done and dusted. There is no obviously no 2-day break between Game 3 and 4. So we'll be back right after Game 3 to record a preview for Game 4. That will be on Saturday, so the podcast will find its way to you on Friday, Flag Day, June 14th, and that has the potential to be the last episode of the season for us, unless we do maybe a draft betting preview or something like that. But
I like the draft last year.
Yeah,
especially with the sweep, we can't go out.
Yeah. Well,
after the Marner trade, we'll have to preview the odds.
Yes, exactly. So. Yeah, after the Marner trade. But until then, for Tim and Nick, I'm Michael. Good luck with all your bets for Game 3.